Welcome to Buffalo's Healthy Communities Show. I'm Phil Habersto, your host from the Wellness Institute of Greater Buffalo. I'm really excited about our show today. We have a series of guests that are going to talk about the topic of civic engagement. How do we as a community, as a city, move ourselves forward? How do we build the better neighborhoods? How do we develop relationships with young people so that there's continuity to the process? And so we're going to start today talking about a project that is happening in the northwest corner of the city of Buffalo. To my far left is one of the mentors of that project, Mr. Bill Parke from the Office of Strategic Planning. Bill,
hi, Phil.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Bill, by profession, is a planner. What is a planner, Bill?
Well, a planner, there are graduate programs in planning throughout the country, and planners often participate in those. It's essentially working with communities and community leaders to develop strategic plans for action to improve their neighborhoods and their communities.
And that's a perfect segue. Thank you, William, because to my immediate left is Dela Cruz. Mercy, welcome. Mercy, you are involved with the project which is known as Rediscover Riverside.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Before we get into Rediscover Riverside, how about Mercy herself? Can you share a little bit about what you're doing these days in your work life?
Sure. I'm a real estate broker for Cashflow Buffalo, Inc., and I'm also a real estate investor here in Buffalo, New York.
Oh, wow. So you own a piece of the action.
Oh, definitely.
Public disclosure there. Okay. We really want to talk about Rediscover Riverside. I'm going to go back to Bill for a second here. Bill, if you wouldn't mind, can you share with the viewers a little bit of a capsule of the history of Rediscover Riverside?
Absolutely. Rediscover Riverside began in 2008. The community in Riverside, many of the community members began to become concerned about some of the things that were happening in the community. Bonnie Eshborn, who has appeared on this show previously, helped coalesce those concerns, started meeting with city government and neighborhood leaders, and created Rediscover Riverside with the support of Councilmember Joseph Golombek.
Yes.
And they created a shared vision, Phil, well, you and I were involved in that important process in June 2009. And then that effort led to others that created this draft neighborhood plan, and that was completed as a draft in July 2010. And here we are at the implementation stage, which is one of Mercy's great strengths.
So Mercy, you're going to make it all happen.
Well, I'm really excited because the plan pretty much lays everything down, and now we're going to take this plan and make it into a reality. That's one of the main goals that I intend to do this year.
Let's talk about then, you brought the group together. You've been with it since the beginning also too, pretty much?
Correct. A little further up.
Right.
I just moved here from California in 2006, and I believe they started a little later on, and I kind of joined in a little bit.
And so we got into this, and I know, Bill, that you helped the community to get a really good concrete picture of where they were at. They had a good sense of their current realities, and then, as you mentioned, we developed a vision to think about where and how they'd like to be, and finally this plan came together. What was your sense of the process? Did it frustrate you, excite you, both?
Planning, the thing is, I like things to get done right away, and planning was kind of hard because we had to piece all the things that we wanted, that the community wanted together. But now that we have it right here, it's worth the sweat and the time that we put in. And I have to give thanks to Bonnie for holding us all together in making sure that we got through this, and it's definitely worth it.
So we're on the other side of process, so to speak, though obviously the process will continue. Mercy, what do you see as some of the challenges to taking this plan and implementing it? What are a couple of key things that you think you have to, as a leader now, as the chair?
Right. Well, I think implementing it and getting our community used to the idea of, yes, we can do this. And yes, our community is going to look beautiful, better than it looks now. And it's just getting people's mentality and believing that it's going to happen. I personally have no doubt that it is going to happen, and it's just a matter of letting people see that vision.
I think that enthusiasm comes through.
Good. Because we need that. We need a lot of that to get it going and
Right.
finally coming to fruition.
And I know during the course of the last year and a half, 2.5 years, there have been a number of things accomplished. I attended one of your recent community meetings, and maybe between Bill and Mercy, can you just share some of the highlights of, besides getting the plan and the vision and all those things? Bill, what are a couple things in your mind that
Sure.
stand out as successes to date?
Well, one of the key things was to get the lighthouse relit in Riverside Park.
Oh, yes.
The lighthouse is an iconic image of Riverside, and everybody agreed that having that lighthouse relit and refurbished was really a critical step. And so a number of community members were able to reach out to city government and their council member, and we celebrated the relighting of the lighthouse last year. And it's really wonderful to see those lights lit and that iconic image shine bright for Riverside. Other things are we're looking at partnering with an organization to redevelop a former school on Ontario Street, and that's really important because large buildings like that have a large presence in communities.
And in that case, you're working with the business community. You're bringing them into the picture.
Right.
Mercy, I know that there's something in the last couple of summers, at least certainly last summer, that it's been really fun, but it's a real community building activity. Can you share that?
I believe you're referring to the Sunset Drum Circle?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, it's exciting. We're actually on meetup.com, and we have people from all parts of Western New York joining our meetup. And what it is we pretty much gather at the park every Sunday evening, starting at 6 p.m. before the sun goes down, and we just beat to the drum. And as we beat to the drum, we watch the sun go down and just experience the moment together. It's a wonderful experience, and we're trying to start that up again this spring.
Right.
With hopes
I'm glad
to
you mentioned that.
Right.
We don't want anybody going there on a cold winter
No,
night.
definitely not me.
Okay.
You will not see me there. But we're also trying to get vendors out there, tarot readers, maybe even bead jewel makers. Just, put vendors out there to attract more people from outside of Riverside, and also to just come into our neighborhood and recognize that Riverside really is a beautiful neighborhood if you just give it a chance and just come visit us.
Sure. And I know that when we talk about partners in Riverside Park, recently we had some dialogue and some input from the Olmsted Park Conservancy. You want to share a little bit about some of their vision for your park and how they're involving you?
Last time we had a meeting with Olmsted Park, they were talking about the pond that they wanted to put in our at Riverside Park. They just shared with us the plan that they had so far, and I do believe they intend on joining with us again and letting us know how they're coming about with that.
And Bill, that my sense of that was reestablishing some of the great work of Frederick Law Olmsted
Right.
that existed historically in the park.
Yes, the Olmsted firm was critical in doing the design of Riverside Park 100 years ago, and we through our planning and through working with partners like Olmsted and the City of Buffalo and the Mayor's Office and our council member, we're able to understand those histories, and now they're going to recreate this River Rock. I believe it's called River Rock Gardens, and it's going to be sort of a pond-type bubbling brook, if you will, in the northern part of Riverside Park. And it should be a real neat attraction for people because water is exciting, and people really like those amenities.
And I want to do our shameless commercial on behalf of your group. You have a website. You want to share that for
We
Rediscover?
do. We have a website. It's rrwny.com. And on there, you can get information with regards to our organization and our plans to beautify Riverside.
And I think that one of the key things that seems to be evident here in the Rediscover Riverside success to date and more successes to come is that you've really developed a partnership with citizens. You've got the nonprofits, I know, in the community involved, the churches and so on and so forth.
Right.
You got the business community on board,
Mm-hmm.
and you certainly have had support from the public sector in that direction. Mercy, as you look forward to the years that are ahead of us here and the challenges that are in front of you from a leadership role, what do you see? What is your sense of the future for Riverside?
You know, when people ask me that, I try to hold back from exploding because I'm just so excited. I'm excited to be here in Buffalo. There's just so many things about our neighborhood that we unfortunately haven't seen for a while because we were focusing on the negative things. I see a lot of wonderful things, and I'm hoping that people would peel their eyes open to all the other wonderful things that we have here. We have a waterfront. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful sunset. So I'm really excited with regards to the future. New school,
Riverside High, new athletic field.
And School 60 in DePaul, a senior housing. We envisioned that in our plan, and believe it or not, it's coming true. And I'm just so excited.
And Bill, as a planner, certainly it's fair to say that you build on the successes, the small successes lead to, and that's how the continuity of the process works.
Absolutely. The working together and developing a shared vision and shared goals and then putting them into action is critical. And it works both ways. The city is glad to partner with organizations like the one led by Mercy, Rediscover Riverside. And then we're also asking the community to involve themselves in things that we're involved in. And one of those is the Buffalo Green Code, which is a new land use plan and zoning code for the city. That's one of our department's major initiatives right now, and we're asking the community all over Buffalo to become involved and help us develop a great land use plan and zoning code for the future in Buffalo.
Super. Well, I want to thank you, Mercy, for being with us today. Much success. Bill, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
And again, we're going to put up that website for you so that if you want to know more about Rediscover Riverside, you can go to the site, you can contact Mercy and get involved if you live in that community, or even if you're a community outside of that, you'd like to learn a little bit more about Rediscover Riverside. I'm sure Bill Parke would be happy to share that. We're going to be back in a few minutes with a guest who has dedicated her life to the last couple of years of youth engagement, getting our young people in our communities involved. So please come back and join us and meet Sarah Emhoff, who is with the Close Up Foundation here in Buffalo. Thank you.